If a strange woman abducted your 8-year-old daughter to ritually sacrifice her to an ancient parasitic Egyptian demon known as the Destroyer of Families, what would you do? In this How to Beat video, I'm gonna break down the mistakes the family and detectives made, what you should do, and how to beat the NASMARANIan in The Mummy. We start out following a happy family singing in the car until they get home and find their yellow bird keeled over puking black goo. The daughter begs her mom to save Polly, so the mother tenderly scoops up the baby bird, rubs its belly with her thumb, and close fist crushed it in her hand. Didn't even try to replace the bird with a new one when the daughter wasn't looking. Little girl's gonna be praying she never gets sick in this household. I wonder if the bird's freak death has anything to do with that dead space monolith sitting in the courtyard, or the ancient mummy residing underneath it. Let's crack it open a bit and take a peek, okay? We're all good. The mummy's still asleep. What the hell just happened? My God, all this just to check if the evil mummy was awake? What's the point in that? If it wasn't before, pulling the blinds open and sticking your nose where it doesn't belong certainly did. The solution here was to do nothing. Keep the sarcophagus shut and then start stacking more rocks on top of it. It's a severely atrophied mummy, not Ronnie Coleman. Tell that mummy to go back to sleep because your scrawny paper-mache ain't benching off 1,000 pounds of primordial stone. Your husband getting fish hooked was quite unlucky. I would have never seen that coming because, frankly, that was physically impossible. If the metal hook was yanking up on the sarcophagus lid, which is heavy enough to entrap the mummy, then there's no way it's unclipping in the first place. Whatever. Have fun explaining this one to your kids. Your daughter is definitely gonna suspect the daddy came down with the norovirus in front of you. This is where we meet the Cannon family. Get to know them and all their minor quirks that build relatability and deep connection while advancing the plot.
Babe, do I use my hands too much when I'm on TV?
When I saw that this movie was 2 hours and 15 minutes long, I knew the director couldn't help himself with the verbose character backstories. When the boy broke his sister's doll testing out his G.I. Joe parachute, I felt that. While daddy's on the phone yapping about his new job, his little girl's watching a magic trick performed by that creepy mummy woman in the yard. The dad just notices a stash of candy bar wrappers in Katie's Barbie doll house. The son spills the beans about a woman at the fence giving them to his daughter. Ooh, nice bro. It's too late. Before he can rush outside to put a 9mm hole in this head, the magician performs her last trick. What a dumb girl. If a giant bug's crawling up your throat, you close your mouth. Duh. Dad is too little too late. By the time he sees the woman running down the street with his daughter, a rogue haboob blows in, killing any chance of finding her. Right before her meeting with the Cannon family, reporting their abducted daughter, the chief gives his detective a little pep talk. In the 27 years on the job, he's located 193 missing persons. She's quick to congratulate him on saving that many people. Then he says 190 of them were dead by the time that he found them. Alright, so you're saying the expectation bar is set so low, it would be a miracle if I could do worse than you. But also, yeah, it's not looking good for Katie here. Especially not when the head of the missing persons unit is baselessly accusing the father of murdering his daughter off the rip. I think I know why you have a 98% failure rate. Seems to me like we have a clear action plan. Infiltrate the chocolate bar dealer, find the child-stealing magician, and put a bullet in her head. Since the meeting got cut short, by all accounts, you're probably on your own here. What else do we know? We know your daughter was likely targeted by someone you or she knows. This is evidenced by the repeated grooming based on the number of chocolate bars and thus visits. Your daughter likely knew the woman for her to be comfortable enough around her, and the woman likely targeted your daughter because she knew she could get close. She knew you were whitey outsiders, 5 months new to the area, without strong community connections. Unbeknownst to the father, It was revealed that Katie knew the woman's daughter from school, Layla, and knew the woman as Layla's mom. This would be what I would have suspected regardless. According to crime statistics, it's actually exceedingly rare for a total stranger to abduct your child. The city this takes place in is Aswan, Egypt, for reference. We know the direction the woman was running in, and likely was not obfuscating her path home. We know that this woman was on foot and had stopped by on numerous occasions, so it's unlikely she lives more than a mile. While chasing her, you probably covered about 400 yards, so that narrows the scope down to about a 3/4 of a mile radius beginning where you stopped. You could go ahead and cross off everything under that line. I would certainly begin searching more intensely closer to where you last saw her though. Which, from the chase scene, it did look like she was running towards a mountain not too far off, so that immediately narrows the search radius to the homes at the edge of the city and the sparse homes, homesteads, and farms on the outskirts. I'd also certainly scour any place selling those candies to obtain any identifying info on the woman. More importantly, I would inquire the local school where my daughter went about any strange woman or other kids that suddenly stopped coming to school. When the woman showed up, Katie asked her where Layla was today, and the woman said that she was sick with a stomach bug. Obviously, I know this, and Charlie doesn't, but still, I think it's reasonable to assume that Katie would only have a connection with a strange woman through that woman's daughter, or if she was a teacher or something, and that if there was a connection at school, something may have happened to the woman's own daughter that spurred this abduction on, as typically, you don't go around committing crimes if everything's chill at home. I'd be certain that when I found out that Layla was a childhood friend of Katie's and that she was missing at school the same day and still hasn't come in, and her mother lived in the suspected zone that we mapped out, and may have matched the description as the woman buying heaps of chocolate bars at one of the handful of stores nearby, Layla's mom would be suspect number one. Maybe this comes across as contrived from retrospective knowledge, but I still think it's an entirely plausible course of action that I would take. It's all what you know, who knows you and what they know of you, then deriving leads from that evidence. You simply can't take the stance that it was a complete rando you've never crossed paths with before that suddenly targeted your daughter for grooming and termination. It does you no good, and statistically, that is very rarely the case. None of this should be hard info to acquire. You know the school, you can visit the teacher, surely there's records of Layla and her mom. I'd guess that I'd have that information in a few hours tops. Speed is of the essence in missing persons reports because within 24 hours, they're likely already dead. Now, would I inform the police of this lead? Not after he accused me of murdering my own daughter. He'll only get in the way. We should also be using extreme caution when approaching Layla's mom. The stakes are high, and if she's willing to abduct a child, she is definitely willing to murder that girl's father. Ringing the doorbell will only get this paranoid pointing a shotgun at the door. The only safe play, in my opinion, is to kick it down, stick the barrel of your gun into her mouth, and move her around the house like a pistol puppet until you find Katie. If you don't find her, you can take your gun out of her mouth, give her a pat on the shoulder, and throw her a 20 to get the door hinge fixed. She should feel good that she's no longer a suspect in your case. No harm, no foul. But I doubt we find nothing. And really, we wouldn't find nothing. There's a obelisk in the courtyard with a basement trapdoor next to it. As soon as I saw that dead space marker in her yard, I'd have leaned her back, tilted the barrel up slightly, and painted a mural with her brains. None of this happens. Katie's never found. The story picks up 8 years later in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Despite all the stress of losing his daughter, Charlie doesn't appear to have aged a day. His job at the local TV station's ticking away, and their replacement daughter is now about the same age as Katie before she was abducted. Around this same time, a plane falls out of the air back in Egypt. Its cargo, the mummy's sarcophagus. The pilots shared a similar fate as that yellow bird in the beginning, a form of biological corruption. Well, that and the co-pilot's eyeball was poked out by a tree branch. Wait a second. How does one end up speared on a tree branch after a plane crash? I presume he was inside of the plane when it crashed. The branch is also perpendicular to the falling plane. I'm gonna guess that whatever was in that sarcophagus maybe got out and tuned these jabronis up. I don't know. I'm curious why they're flying it around anyway. The sarcophagus is then taken to a lab where two researchers discuss their inability to scan it with an X-ray or MRI, concluding that it must be lead lined. Of course, these two idiots immediately remove the lid to check out what's inside. I'd think based on the pilot's disgusting boils all over his head, which undoubtedly led to the crash, that the initial theory would be some kind of plague or ancient biological weapon leaking out of the coffin and causing anyone nearby to become terminally ill, in which case, I would be wearing a hell of a lot more PPE than just a pair of nitrile gloves. And I certainly would not crack it open until further testing. And by further testing, I mean hang some canaries up around it and then perform autopsies on them after their insides liquefy into black goo. Sorry, little birdies. They disrobed the mummy, and oh my god, that is not a decomposed corpse. Hey Charlie, we found your daughter. Actually, I think it's best if you don't tell him. Not until you can figure out what the hell happened. Those are some pretty bizarre circumstances that you found her under. I don't think it's necessarily safe to reintegrate her into the family unit until you get to the bottom of it. Oh, they told him. At the hospital, the doctor tells Charlie and Larissa that he doesn't want to sound like a dick or nothing, but it says on your daughter's chart that she's f***ed up, and she talks like a malnourished catatonic schizophrenic. He wasn't lying. Katie does not look good. The doctor tells him that despite her rough around the edge appearance, her vitals are healthy. He thinks the best medicine will be bringing her back into a loving home. Man, I'm no doctor, but I really think she needs to stay here a bit longer. I think the doc just wants to get her creep out of the hospital as soon as possible, and I don't blame him. The Katie thing is scaring off the motorcycle crash and burn victims. Seriously though, sending her home because her blood pressure and heart rate are chill is certifiably insane. Notably, because Katie is certifiably insane. Yep, pulse ox looks good. Let's go ahead and pack her up in the back of your truck. You'll be pleased to know that we do offer a complimentary tie-down service for outpatients that have spazzy motor control caused by severe neurodegenerative conditions. Dude, no way am I taking this thing back home to bunk with my new 8-year-old daughter. I'm sure there's gonna be a bit of resentment residing deep within Katie's amygdala. Are you sure there's no electric shock therapy you could try first? Sorry, I mean brain synchronization therapy. Nice rebrand. Or what about a lobotomy? Could we do that number? The missing persons agent arrives to debrief Dad on the cause and circumstances regarding Katie's discovery. The agent suspects that this was a human trafficking cover, as ancient artifacts aren't typically investigated or checked.
I remember you. You had a working theory then, too, didn't you? You thought I did something to her.
Okay, great. Later that afternoon, everybody prepares for Katie's 17th birthday. You could also put a tent out in the backyard. It'd be easier on her spine, and you could lock the doors at night. Jesus Christ, guys. How are you gonna get her back down for breakfast? Everybody says something kind to bring Katie out of her shell.
You're one ugly motherfucker.
I'm sorry, as the father, I would take it upon my shoulders to smother her with a pillow and cremate her body the next morning. That night, Katie leaves the bed and scurries around the crawl spaces. When Charlie and Larissa catch up to her, she's scarfing down a scorpion like Buzz scarfing down a cheese pizza. The next day, let's just say the situation is not improving. Larissa gives her a nightmare pedicure in which her leg starts sloughing off. Katie then runs off and starts jabbing her leg with a fire poker, and Charlie discovers a plague rot infesting the floor in Katie's bedroom. I don't know, it's getting crazy. Charlie tells Larissa that they may need to consider finding a new home for Katie. I agree. Chain her up in the basement, and you two go pick out a nice floral patterned lead-lined coffin.
Do you think I can't handle taking care of my own daughter at home?
No, I agree with you, Charlie, but also, that's not the conversation to have in front of Katie. Jesus, you might as well have put a target on your back with this psycho your troubled daughter. Charlie finds some of that sloughed off strands of skin, and after noticing faint, strange symbols seemingly tattooed onto it, he begins peeling the onion layers. Yep, it's definitely a type of ancient Egyptian writing. That's not good. His next course of action is to seek answers at the conveniently nearby ancient Egyptian mummy professor at the local college. Mr. P takes a look. It's hieratic, the first cursive script of ancient Egypt, 3,000 years before Jesus. Translation may take a bit of time though. Time they don't have. I mean, look at her. Son of a Her clacking is Morse code. The same Morse code Girl Scout homework that he was helping her with in the days before she was abducted. Charlie quickly grabs a pen and paper and jots down the sequence. I can only imagine what nightmare of a phrase that she just communicated. Oh, it's just Layla, on repeat. Gee willikers, I think she's saying this all has to do with Layla or her mom. What a shocker. He calls up Detective Dahlia to inform her. She asks, Layla who? Charlie says, I don't know. That's all I got. Bro, you don't pay attention, do you? That's your daughter's best friend. Unfortunately, what would have made this much easier is if the Katie mummy simply tacked on Layla's mom. I know Katie's not in a great mental spot, but surely if she can utter Layla, she could say Layla mom. That one little extra word provides so much more context because instead of a random name, they could infer that it was maybe a girl her age's mom. What girls her age does she know? Well, probably girls at school. I hope you can take it from there. Dahlia tells him there's lots of Laylas in Egypt. Dumb thinking, well gosh, it could be anyone. Lots of Laylas in the world. 8 billion people. Lots of Laylas. Literally the first thing any criminal investigation unit would do is assess the Laylas that you or Katie are most likely to know or have interacted with. I bet you there isn't that many to check. Great. Charlie's plan is to spend 3 days digging through Katie's pen pal notes to see if he can find a Layla. Dude, call the school. Oh my God. While Charlie and his wife are neglecting their other children, Katie's going full possessed psycho mummy.
Like how your little babies taste.
Ew. Maud's smart enough to run, but Katie force freezes her, levitates, rotates, and slams her into the door. It's not looking good. Well, back to reading notes. Oh, this one has a chocolate bar on it. Strange. Written by none other than Layla Khalil, her best friend at school. Derp. It is now occurring to Charlie, 9 years or so later, that he's a f***ing idiot. He calls up Dahlia, who runs the search. Chill with the burrito, god. Your neck veins are about to explode. I'm getting high blood pressure just watching this. Can you please take a pause to breathe? They narrowed the search down to a nectarine farm in Aswan. It hits Dahlia, the rotten apple found in the exact spot where Katie was taken, given to her by the abductor. I don't know what the hell happened to Maud. Charlie nor Larissa have once checked on her since. It's literally the next day, and Charlie's back at Mr. P's office translating skin scriptures. Professor Bixler confirms the glyphs are a NASMARANIan ceremonial binding curse for a contagious Egyptian demonic plague known as the Destroyer of Families. So that's the bad news. The good news is that these scriptures contain words of protection, words to ward off this long-lost demon. Okay, Mr. Pete, you need to gather all your books and come with me back home to figure this bullshit out. Because based on what Bixler said, anyone who's come into contact with Katie could be corrupted.
You're a rat-faced c***.
I think Maud may be corrupted. Either that, or she really got up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. Over with Dahlia. She's arrived at the farm where she discovers the mini pyramid in the cave filled with shackles underneath it. Clearly, this is our suspect's home. As much as I think Dahlia sucked on the searching and investigating side of things, she does not around when it comes to blasting crazy mummy sims. Nice shot. Layla pops her head in to see what happened, then takes off through the orchard field. Dahlia gives chase and fires a warning shot, telling Layla if she doesn't stop making sandcastles, she's gonna Swiss cheese her with a 9. I would do what she says. Dahlia's gorged on microwave burritos. She's got a license to kill, a fresh high off blowing your mom's lung out the back of her body, a shovel in her trunk, and the whole day cleared off to bury your so she doesn't have to deal with the paperwork. I bet that shoebox is full of cursed scorpions. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna stay back nice and far. Layla is gonna tell me what's inside it. Then slowly unclip the tin can and slowly open it towards me. If it is not a batch of homemade cookies, or whatever you say it is,
I'm gonna pull out my pistol and shoot you in the head.
the fact that Layla is running from you is most likely mad that you shot her mom, and now is urging you to open the tin can, should be setting off big red warning sirens in your head. Oh, it's a VHS tape. Before we hit play, let's check out how things are going back at the Cannon's residence.
Don't worry, Grandma. It's fun to be dead.
Not great. Oh, shit, the coyotes are ripping her apart now. Obviously, the best next course of action is to hold an open casket funeral the following day. The situation is rapidly escalating. Maud's pulling out all her teeth and spewing the plague all over the food, which everybody's scarfing down. Katie's digging through the rotted out ceiling to join the party, and Maud pulled out Granny's dentures to fill her own mouth with. It is all extremely disturbing. Now Maud's biting a dude. Katie's chewing on Granny's neck. Once everybody wears themselves out, Dahlia comes over to play the tape. The dark signs have begun to show once more, warning us that the time has come to recommit the containment of our ancient family secret. This will be the 82nd mummification ritual, and as the firstborn child, I am honored to carry this great responsibility of ensuring that our family will remain protected from the evil reach of the NASMARANIAN. I commit this testament so that in decades to come, your children will know what they must do when it is their time to transfer this demon from a spent vessel to a freshly prepared host. So basically what I'm getting here is that the demon needs the vessel to be contained in. The rotting bird was the canary in the coal mine, a sign that the previous vessel had worn down and could no longer contain the demon. A young child is best because their vessel lasts longer than an oldie. Right, except that people are going to be far more pissed about their young child being abducted. They're more likely to hunt you down than if you abducted some druggy hobo. Sure, the hobo won't last as long, but that's okay. There's always more. It was also moronic for the magician to abduct a child whom she had a connection with. Any detective worth their salt would have found her out quickly. I do get why the Khalils didn't bring in outsiders and form some deal with the cops to put death row inmates on the list of successors. There's just too much risk and publicity. Nobody would believe them until the demon got out and started causing chaos. I guess the reason they were flying the sarcophagus around was that they were trying to relocate it because there was apparently a great flood imminent to their home, based on precisely zero evidence. I don't know, the skies look pretty clear to me. I get flood and tornado warnings on my weather app all the time. Basically never happens. This great flood supposedly would compromise the sarcophagus's containment, thus forcing them to move it, which obviously went south when the pilots were contaminated. I don't see how the sarcophagus would be compromised by the flood. Duct tape it shut if you want. Slap some Flex Seal on it. It's in a cave and there's no way the tide is lifting that bad boy out from under the earth. I literally don't see the problem with doing nothing. Oh no, the demon mummy is gonna drown. Why was it even on a plane? If you had to move it, just drive it out of the flood zone. Packing an insanely heavy demonic sarcophagus onto a little private plane was reckless. What did your ancestors do for the other 82nd mummification rituals? Surely there had to have been floods back then too. Whatever. The tape continues. Katie gets ritually sacrificed to become the successor vessel to contain the Egyptian demon, mummifying her and sealing her inside the sarcophagus. So basically, Katie's I mean, it's obviously not Katie anymore. The only solution is to put her back in the box and pray that severs off whatever spiritual tendrils that she's infiltrated Maud and the Sun with. Easier said than done, I get it. Let me try to summarize the difficulty. Katie's ripped all the second skin protection scriptures that she was bound with and is now a full-blown uncaged telekinetic demon summoning a sandstorm and infecting the whole family. The son is corrupted and is wielding a metal baseball bat. Grandma is corrupted. Maud is corrupted. And they all have serious hands. Our heroes are getting their kicked. Dad gets ground and pounded with big nasty headbutts. Granny pukes a scorpion into Dahlia's mouth, which pierces her vocal box before she can rip it back out. Larissa gets slapped around a bit too. Charlie and Dahlia set up the final play. Dahlia is going to mimic the chants from the VHS tape summoning the transfer of vessels, while Dad hugs his daughter on the ground. It works. Katie vomits up the demon into her dad's mouth. In the minutes of reprieve that they get, they chain him inside the casket. A father sacrificing his life for his daughter. It's so sweet. Katie and the whole fam seems to be doing just fine now. God hoping she doesn't remember any of the shit the demon made her do. Larissa's doing well too. Even better after that call with Dahlia. See, Layla's mom actually survived that gunshot wound. She looks stable and healthy now. You could say she's a fitting host for the demon now. Dahlia called in a few favors for the guards to take a long lunch break. Larissa wheels the Charlie mummy into the room and they perform the transfer ceremony. The movie ends. I suppose the family and Dahlia wouldn't have known or thought to do this earlier until they watched the tape. Nor would they really be able to know how to perform the ritual. Nor would they know if the ritual would have worked with it residing in a perfectly good host. This ending is a bit BS because the demon has no reason to leave Katie's body. Realistically, this move does not work. Based on the VHS tapes, when the demon transfers to a new host, there's a certain amount of downtime before it's up and walking around again. If the chants don't work, which they most likely wouldn't, Dahlia would need to force a transfer. And the only way to do that is to fill Katie's body full of lead. Katie dies, the goo goes into somebody else. That person takes a 10-minute nap while the demon's booting up, and in those minutes, you can wrap them up in protection inscribed skin and lock them inside Granny's casket. Bing, bang, boom. Ultimately, had the magician not tried to move the sarcophagus, none of this would have happened. Well, besides Katie being abducted. For that reason, I would say the Egyptian demon in The Mummy was beaten. Moral of the story: if your daughter looks like this, you do not take her home from the hospital.